There is a silent misunderstanding happening in your home every single day. It sits in the space between you and the small animal, watching you from the doorway. You think you know what your cat sees when they look at you. You are almost certainly wrong. Not the version of you that opens the cans. Not the version that refills the water bowl. Not the version that drags the feather across the floor at 9 in the evening. Not even the version that speaks to them in that softer voice you use for no one else. The truth is stranger than that. And the truth is hidden inside 3 specific behaviors your cat performs in front of you. Possibly today, possibly within the hour. Behaviors so ordinary you have stopped noticing them. Behaviors that, when read correctly, quietly rearrange what you thought your relationship was. For decades, the assumption was simple. Cats tolerate us. Cats use us. Cats are, in the words of one older behavioral model, solitary opportunists who happen to live near humans. Then the studies started to complicate that story. Work at the University of Lincoln, led by Daniel Mills, tested whether cats form secure attachment bonds to their owners in the same structured way infants do. Later, Kristen Vitale at Oregon State ran a modified version of the classic Ainsworth strange situation test on domestic cats. What the data suggested was not tolerance. It was attachment, roughly the same distribution of secure and insecure bonds you would find in human children. Which means the animal sleeping on the edge of your bed is not a roommate. It is something closer to kin. But not kin in the way you think. We are going to look at 4 very specific behaviors most owners see every day and never understand. One of them is the reason your cat walks into a room and simply looks at you before leaving again. One of them is why your cat brings you things. One of them is a sound they make only for you and no one else in the natural world. And the 4th one, the one that arrives near the end, is the behavior that finally answers the question in the title of this. What you actually are in your cat's nervous system is not what any of us were told. Stay with me. 1. The slow blink. You have seen it. Your cat, across the room, half in shadow, catches your eye and slowly, deliberately, closes their eyes and opens them again. Most owners register it as sleepiness. It is not sleepiness. In 2020, a study published in Scientific Reports, led by Tasman Humphrey at the University of Sussex and the University of Portsmouth, examined this exact behavior. Researchers found that cats were significantly more likely to slow blink at a human who had slow blinked at them first, and significantly more likely to approach a stranger who had performed the gesture. The data suggested that the slow blink functions as a low arousal signal of non-threat. In the language of animal behavior, it is an appeasement gesture, a way of saying in a species that cannot say it, I am lowering my guard in your presence. Now consider the biology underneath. A prey-capable predator does not close its eyes in the presence of something it does not trust. The eyelid, in evolutionary terms, is an admission. Your cat closing their eyes at you, on purpose, from across a room, is your cat performing a small neurological surrender, a voluntary lowering of vigilance, the nervous system settling. The next time your cat blinks at you slowly from the other side of the couch, you will know what you are actually watching. You are watching your cat tell you, in the only grammar they have, that in this room, at this moment, you are the safest thing. Let that sit for a moment, because it gets stranger. 2. The gift. The half-chewed toy at the top of the stairs, the hair tie balanced on your pillow, the, occasionally, less pleasant offering left near the back door. Most owners interpret this in one of 2 ways. Either the cat is bringing a trophy, or the cat, in an old and largely unsupported piece of folk wisdom, is trying to teach you to hunt. The behavior is more interesting than either of those.
research on prey delivery in domestic cats, and comparative work in social carnivores by scientists including Mark Bekoff at the University of Colorado points to something else. Object delivery in social species is tied not to instruction, but to affiliation. It is a bonding grammar. Wolves, wild dogs, and communally raised felids share objects and food in ways that reinforce group membership, not skill transfer. In domestic cats, whose social behavior was quietly rewritten by roughly 10,000 years of proximity to human agricultural settlements, the behavior appears to have been redirected. Your cat is not underestimating your hunting ability, your cat is including you. There is a version of this you have already seen and dismissed. Your cat walks into the room, drops the toy, does not play with it, simply looks at you and walks away. That is the entire behavior. The delivery is the message. The message is, this belongs to both of us now, and we will get to the sound in a moment. 3. The chirp, the trill, the small sound they make only for you. Cats, in the wild, are largely silent adults. Adult-to-adult vocal communication in feral colonies is minimal. Kittens meow at their mothers, mothers chirp at their kittens, and then, in almost every population studied, the vocal exchange stops at maturity. Except in one context, the domestic home. Nicholas Nicastro, working out of Cornell, and later researchers at the University of Milan studying the acoustic properties of cat vocalizations, have documented something that should unsettle you gently. The adult meow, as most house cats use it, is not a natural adult cat behavior. It is a retained kitten behavior. The data suggests that domestic cats, over thousands of years of cohabitation, have kept the vocal register of infancy alive and directed it exclusively at us. The trill, the chirp, the small conversational sound your cat makes when you walk into the kitchen is a sound that in the wild would end at weaning. In your home, it never ends, which means the animal calling to you from the hallway is, in a very literal biological sense, addressing you in a voice reserved for a parent. Not a peer, not a rival, not a housemate. Read that sentence again in your head, slowly, because it is one of the two open doors this leaves standing. The other one is coming. But before we open it, one more. 4. The stare and leave. You have witnessed this 1,000 times. Your cat enters the room you are in, looks at you, does not approach, does not vocalize, simply looks for a beat, then turns and walks out. Most owners interpret this as disinterest. It is the opposite. In behavioral ecology, this is called a check-in. It is documented in mother-infant dyads, in bonded primate pairs, in dogs studied by D.M. Michelse's group in Budapest, and in the attachment literature more broadly. The function is not interaction. The function is verification. The animal is confirming the location and state of a base. Human toddlers do it in the earliest weeks of independent movement.
You are such
They
a
wander
good
into a
little
new
cat,
room,
aren't you?
glance back at the parent, and
I
continue
love
on.
hanging out with you like this.
The glance is not a request. The glance is a checkpoint. Work by Alice Potter and Daniel Mills, and separately by researchers examining feline stress hormones, has shown that the mere presence of the owner in a room measurably lowers cortisol-linked stress markers in cats during novel or mildly threatening situations. Your body, sitting on the couch, functions as a regulator. Your cat is not walking in to say hello. Your cat is walking in to confirm that the regulator is still there. Which brings us to the 5th thing, the thing underneath the 4. The thing that finally answers what you actually are in your cat's nervous system. Because here is what all 4 of these behaviors, taken together, quietly point to. The slow blink is a signal used with a trusted, non-threatening presence. The object delivery is a bonding grammar used within group members. The retained kitten vocalization is a call reserved for a parent. The check-in is a behavior aimed at a secure base. You are not the food source. You are not the roommate. You are not, despite the internet joke, a large, poorly furred cat. Studies by Atsuko Saito and colleagues in Tokyo have shown that domestic cats reliably discriminate their owner's voice from strangers and respond differentially, even when they do not visibly react. Work echoing the attachment findings from Vitali's group at Oregon State has shown that cats seek proximity to their owner in stressful situations in the same distributional pattern as human infants and dogs. And research on interspecies oxytocin dynamics following in the lineage of Takafumi Kikusui and Miho Nagasawa's work on human-dog bonding has begun to trace similar, if quieter, neurochemical loops in the human-cat dyad. Put the pieces together. A creature that surrenders its vigilance in your presence, that shares its objects with you, that speaks to you in the voice of infancy, that uses your body as a base to verify the safety of the world. In your cat's nervous system, you are not another cat. And you are not a human either. You occupy a category that, in evolutionary terms, should not exist. You are a permanent, oversized, non-feline caregiver whose face and voice have been mapped onto the neurological slot originally reserved for the mother. Not metaphorically. Structurally, the attachment system did not build a new category for you. It reassigned an old one. You are, to the small animal watching you from the doorway, a kind of parent that never leaves. Let that sit for a moment. And here is the beat underneath that beat. The one that arrives quietly, if you let it. The reason this matters is not that it makes you more important, it is that it makes them more vulnerable. Because the version of you your cat has bonded to is not the version that feeds them or plays with them. It is the version of you that is simply, reliably, in the room. Present, predictable, undramatic. The you that sits on the couch and does nothing. The you that walks past them in the hallway without stopping. The you that exists, which means the ordinary hours, the ones you thought were nothing, the quiet afternoons where you worked and they slept 3 feet away, were not empty. They were the bond. They were the entire architecture of it. The relationship was not built in the loud moments. It was built in the still ones. The next time your cat walks into the room, looks at you for a beat, and walks back out, you will know what you are actually watching. You are watching a small nervous system confirm that its world is still intact. You are watching a creature check on its parent. And if that changed how you see the animal in the next room, that is why we made Whisker Enigma. Quietly, slowly, one reframing at a time. If this reached you, a soft like and a subscribe helps us keep making them, nothing more than that. We will see you in the next one.